Welcome to this tutorial. We're not going to execute any code here, but we'll write some code. We'll get used to writing code that's well formatted, well commented, well structured, and we'll learn about statements and operators. I've just set up a new project here called Operators, with the program in there in the namespace operators. So you might pause here and give yourself a chance to go through the steps required to do that. If you're not sure how to do that, you may need to review one of my earlier lessons. So there's a few kinds of comments that you do use when you're coding, and one of them are documentary comments, and we're going to document just a general piece of information about the program in a block of comments at the top of code here. So if you remember here, a backslash and an asterisk will start block of commented code, and then we'll just start typing our commented code here by hitting the enter key. You can see it moves on to the next line of commentary here. So I'm going to put in the file name, and that's, again, just be careful here not to space out. Use the space key here to align. Just use the tab key, and you should see that things will align for you in the same way that the alignment for your braces, for your blocks of code, should be done by tabs rather than spaces. Okay, so get in the habit of using the tab key for alignment here. Okay, so the file name here is operators. Just hit enter here, and you're moving on to a new line again of comments. The author. So tab, and I'll tab again to reach that tab alignment. My own name in there for the author, and then versions. And this is version number 1, and I'll just have a quick explanation what goes in version number 1 here. So this is an outline of an explanation, a set example of operators to how they're used. Okay, I'll just hit enter there. If you do run out of space, if it starts to wrap around the screen, you can just hit enter for a new line of code. Hit enter again. I'm happy enough with that. Now, just to finish my commenting, I'll just use the backslash key there. Hit enter. Oh, sorry, that backslash should have been straight after the asterisk. And you can see, finish my block of code. I'm going to take out this line here as well. We don't need any extra lines. So there you can see, that's how you create a block of code. So start with the backslash asterisk, keep hitting the enter key for each new line, and it will automatically align things for you and put the asterisks in on every line of code. And then when you're finished, make sure you put that asterisk right next, or sorry, that backslash right next to the asterisk to finish off the block of code, or the block of commenting. So that's a good example of documentary commenting. Then you can have some explanatory comments put into your code, and you can do that inline, so that you can explain what you're doing as you go along. So the first operator here I'm going to work on, and again I'm going to comment this line here with the backslash, I'll tab, and I'm going to place a comment here explaining that it is is explained here. Okay. And now I'm going to start writing my code here with the negative operator. Okay. So if you are a programmer and in C#, your user manual for coding, as well as being in the help files, very useful place to start searching if you are trying to research something, find out something about C# or an area C#, is by going to the MSDN, the Microsoft Developer Network website. So msdn.com should get you there, and then I'm going to just search for operators. You can see a suggestion here, there's operators in C#. That's what I'm looking for. So I'll just process that search. And there's a list of C# operators here. That's the first search hit in the network. So you can see there's some primary operators, unary operators. And on the left hand side here I can see there's a reference list. I'll just go for the minus or negative operator here. And as well as good explanations here, it shows you here that a unary negative operator negates or turns a number into a negative number, and a binary one subtracts something, an item from the first. You can see those good explanations. But as well as that, what's just really nice here is you get some example code here. So I can just lift this code out here, copy and paste it, turn to Visual Studio, and just right click and paste the code. Okay, I've just ran the program here and it's exited because I require console. And again, as I'm typing console, I'm going to use IntelliSense, hitting enter, and using readline. I'll scroll down here with the arrow key and open and close brackets, and that should interrupt the console so I can display the items. Here we go. You can see first line of code here has the equals operator, or the assignment operator, where I get an operand A that I've named, and I make it equal to 5. There's also another operator here, the int operator, which invokes memory to set up an item. So you can see here our C# statements, or lines of code here, is made up of these operands, which are usually similar to nouns, or they're things like the integer I've set up, and the action words are the verbs, which are the operands, like int, which says, okay, set aside me some a piece of memory or a container. So try and think of them as something physical. In the next line here, you can see the operand here is the console. So you can see the console here on the screen here. That's the operand. That's the noun again, describing that. And then when I use the dot operator here and use the brackets here to invoke the writeLine method, that operand actions out, passing the parameter of negative A to the console. So you can see when I use the negative operator here, it gets the number stored in the variable A5 and it negates it and turns it into -5. Second one here, I've got the subtract operator where I get the number that's stored in A, which is 5, and I subtract 1 from it, and 4. And in the third one here, I get A, subtract 0.5, and 4.5 is output. I'm just going to use the MSDN manual here and talk through some of the very commonly used operators. One useful one here is the equals operator, which is the equality operator. So you're checking, does one item equal another item? So for example here, it asks the question here, is 2 plus 2 equal to 4? So let's take that bit of code and see what's output to the screen. So I'll just paste it in Visual Studio, and I'm going to comment out this block of code because I don't want that running. So I'll just highlight and comment. So another function of the commenting here is just to render some of the code unused. Another way you can comment as well is you can do inline commenting. So if I cut this comment out and put it, copy, and then just tab over, and I can paste it in inline on the same line as the code. So some programmers prefer that because they feel it looks a bit neater and makes things more readable. So let's again put in our console.readline to make sure that the console is interrupted, and of course using IntelliSense again to make our lives easier. And when we run that piece of code here, the comparison operator runs in here and returns 2 plus 2 in the brackets, which is 4. It asks, does it equal to 4? And it returns a value of true there from the comparison between those two items. Other comparison operators that you might use are greater than and less than. You may remember those from your maths class, so I might ask the question here, is 2 plus 2 greater than 4? And that should return false because it is equal to 4. There we go, returning false. However, if you change that operator just slightly and ask to make the comparison, is 2 plus 2 greater than or equal to 4, then it should return true, because 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. Very good, so just a slight difference in operator there. That covers the possibility of something being greater than or equal to. You can of course have the less than operator as well, which just flips the opposite way. Okay, another conditional operator is the AND operator, and that also works in this thing called Boolean logic, which returns a value of true or false. And we'll try that in our code here by asking the question, is 2 plus 2 equal to 4, and is 2 plus 2 less than 5? So 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, and 2 plus 2 is less than 5. So both of those are true. So when both of those are true, should return a value of true. Now, however, if I make one of those items false, that would mean, so if I said is 2 plus 2 greater than 5, if I made any one of the two of them false, then it evaluates the false. So I'm saying here, if 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, true, and 2 plus 2 is greater than 5, false. So true and false makes false. You could have another statement in here and say, look, if one or the other one is true, then the whole lot is true. So the OR statement here is just 2 bars for an OR. So I'm saying if one or the other are true, then it's fine. It'll get through the test. It'll be evaluated true. So there you go. So you may find yourself using the AND and the OR operators when you're doing comparisons as well. There's also a not equals operator here. So I could say, is 2 plus 2 not equal to 4? And that should be false because 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. Let's look at something else here. I can set up some a few different integers all at once here. So integer A, B, and C. It's not recommended you do this. There's something that's possible. So I've now, with that line of code here, set up 3 integers called A, B, and C. Actually, I'm going to set up another one called D. Also going to comment out this bit of code here because I won't need that, what I'm showing you. And what I'm going to illustrate here is the importance of brackets when you're using operators. So integer, new integer being declared here called E equals A plus B times C minus D. So we'll set some values there for A, B, C, D first. So A equals 1, B equals 2 with the assignment operator, notice as I'm typing the code C equals 3, when I hit the semicolon here, the alignment is sorted out for me. So that's something, by using the tabs and letting the intelligence of C# do its thing, you can let it do its own alignment. So D equals 1, semicolon. Okay, so the order of operations here should mean that in this case here I do what's in the brackets first. So A plus B is 1 plus 2 equals 3 times C minus T, which is 3 minus 1 is 2. So it should be equals 3 times 2. It should be equal to 6. So I'll just write down to the console, ask it to display what's in E, and hopefully it should evaluate to 6 here. Just do a console.readline and make sure that displays to the console. Run the code, and it evaluates to 6. Okay, just one final thing here about building our statements is that they should make sense. So like when I put this sentence together in English, when I say something like the red fox, it doesn't make sense. You have a noun and an adjective there, but you normally need a verb or an action word in a sentence for it to make sense. Like the red fox jumped over the fence makes a bit of sense compared to another sentence. So in an example here, I've a couple of operands and operator together to make a statement. However, x plus y doesn't make sense. I haven't declared x, I haven't declared y, and even if I do declare them up here and y, the x plus y does what? It doesn't allocate it to anything, it doesn't set it a place in memory. So maybe something like b equals x plus y, I'm setting the value of b to be equal to x plus y. That might make sense, but I still haven't assigned the variable x and y, so I say if x equals 2 and y equals 3, you can see I've built a statement here that compiles and makes sense. However, if I just take out the b equals here, this x plus y, it says here, cannot be used as a statement. So even though it's got good syntax, it's got two operators that are syntactically correct. There's an x, it's being declared, it's being initialized. There's a y, it's being declared, it's been initialized. There's an operand, an operator in between these two operands. There's a correct semicolon at the end of the statement. It's syntactically fine, but however, semantically or in terms of meaning, it doesn't make any sense. So C# is saying it doesn't make a properly formed statement. Take a look at a few questions here and test your knowledge. So statements in C# are made up of expressions, variables, classes, or objects. So statements are a collection of expressions. And expressions in turn are made up of, is it operators and operands, identifiers and statements, operators and identifiers, or constructs and identifiers? The answer there is expressions have operators and operands, and those operators and operands combine then to make up statements. That we have the operator and operand for console.writeLine, then we have another operator and operand here for a minus 1 to subtract in that line of code there. So those two expressions combine to make one statement or one line of code here that has a bit of meaning to it. What operator is used in this statement? So either the answer string operator to assign a set of memory with aside, or a set of variable aside, or set of container aside memory for string, or equals would do here. And let's match the operator with description below. It's important from the video here that you get a good gist of the use of these common operators, because they'll make you be able to express yourself better in C#. When you're using operands, you usually make them yourselves or invoke them yourselves, whereas with operators, it's something that you have to get to know and get to use as you go along to help you in C#. The equals operator here is the assignment operator when there's one equals. The plus sign here is addition, or if you're dealing with strings, it's concatenate. The two bars together is conditional or, so if one or other item is true, then the entire statement or entire expression evaluates the true. For the conditional and operator, both sides of the condition have to be true for the expression to evaluate to be true. This operator here is division. The asterisk is multiplication, and this is the less than operator.